Well, we are all in that holding pattern, waiting for the second half of Young Justice Phantoms. This season has been broken down into individual story arcs, and every week we've been diving in a little bit to the future arcs coming up in the second half of the season. We've already covered Rocket and Aqualad, so now it's time for our favorite Gotham sidekick, Dick Grayson. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what's in store for Nightwing, at least what I think's in store for him, coming up in the second half of the season, and where they might be taking the character. Now, before we dive into this though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. Also, the next big giveaway. We're going to give away this Oculus Quest 2 at 50,000 subscribers. All you need to do to get in on our giveaway is be a subscriber and leave us a comment. Also, while you're at it, make sure you check out that free week of Skillshare down below. It's a spectacular way for you to develop all of your superhero skills for that never-ending war on crime, all while not diving too deep into your pocket. Plus, it does help the channel, so we really appreciate it. Well, like I was saying, we're all waiting for the second half of Young Justice Phantoms. We haven't even got a trailer yet, or an official release date, but we do know it's coming in the spring of 2022. Now, we have 3 story arcs left, Rocket, Aqualad, and Nightwing, and we've already talked some about Rocket and Aqualad, so now the boy wonder himself is up to bat. Now, as I was researching this video, I did realize there's a lot to cover here. So, because Dick Grayson is a special guy, he's going to get a 2-parter. And in part 2, we're going to cover some of the more big-hitting things that need to be set up. Specifically, I'm talking about Jason Todd, Talia, Damian, and the League of Shadows as they fit into a story. There's so much to unpack here that those characters really deserve their own video focusing on them, so we're going to drop that on you in the next week or two. As far as this season goes, I do think there's some key things that are going to come up for Dick Grayson. And quite a few of them are very, very personal, aka Phantoms. As many of you know, in the early part of this season, we lost Connor Kent. At least the team believes they lost him. And I really think this could be somewhat of a PTSD moment for Nightwing. Don't forget, Nightwing was best friends with Wally West. And this went on before the show even started. Their banter and bond was very evident starting on day 1 of the show, and even more so in the official spin-off comics that fills in tons of blanks. I really believe losing Connor Kent will land really hard on Dick Grayson, and could quite possibly force him into calling the whole lifestyle of being a superhero into question. We're going to talk a little bit about Barbara Gordon in just a few minutes, but if you remember, she is in a wheelchair due to being part of the superhero business. And at this point, Dick has lost several friends to this, and I think it is very possible for this character to take a walk down a path of hero no more. I'm not sure if this story arc is in store for Dick Grayson, but with all this loss, it does make a lot of sense. Nobody has ever lost 2 of their best friends and not have it leave a mark. Grayson is still human, and this may very well eventually get to him. Another big aspect of Dick Grayson's character is his ability to be a leader, and last season we saw quite a few challenges to that. He did head up a new team, and took quite a big role on his own, but he was also very much integrated into the Batman Inc. deception. Now, it's pretty hard for me to believe that this won't generate some trust issues with other team members, and it could play very big into the Phantom's idea of his arc. This character has been developed from day 1 to be a leader. Before he was ready to be a leader, him becoming the leader, and him stepping away from being a leader because he doesn't think he's the right guy are really all key parts to that path. Now, when the deception was revealed at the end of Season 3, if you remember correctly, Nightwing made it very clear he would be happy to be part of the covert team and happy to report to Black Lightning, who was now leading the Justice League after the resignation of Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Now, it's still unclear whether Dick will be leading the covert team. If you remember, Miss Martian actually stepped down. But I do think his long-standing leadership abilities will be very important in bringing all the arcs and team members together for whatever final conflict they have to face. One thing that works very positively for this character is his ever-evolving persona. Pretty much every season we kind of get a new take on this guy. Season 1 he was Robin and apprenticing for leadership. Season 2 he was fully leading a much larger team. And then Season 3 he had kind of grown somewhat disillusioned with it, but was also leading his own team as well as integrating in other teams. Now the story has gone full circle and is rejoined under the leadership of Black Lightning. This kind of ever-evolving character on the show does make it pretty easy to move his story forward because he is an adaptive person. It did leave me with one question though. We know he rejoined the Covert team, but did he join the Justice League? Now finally, one of the other big personal things that I think is going to be a part of Dick's arc in the upcoming second half of the season is his relationship with Barbara Gordon. Now, we got a ton of Barbara Gordon history in the Artemis and Orphan storyline earlier this year, so I think this relationship will be highlighted. It will be his personal side, and it might be related to some of the deceptive actions last year that quite honestly challenged his character. I do wonder if some of those decisions will affect Barbara's opinion of him or create some static between the two of them. I have always loved the Babs-Dick relationship, so I really am glad they're doing it on the show. I also think Barbara will be a very big part in another part of Dick's story, and that is queuing up and referencing whatever happened to Jason Todd, and even more so, his potential return. Now, this is something we're going to talk heavily about in part 2 of this video, but she's been there since the beginning, and she clearly knows the whole story. Based on what went down with Orphan, she was very worried about history repeating itself, and I think that first pass was Jason Todd, and her emotional weight in that decision will probably be carried in this arc. Now, the wild cards for the arc are the rest of the Bat family, some of which we've already got to see this season. Honestly, Young Justice probably has the biggest Bat family ever. Batman, Tim Drake Robin, Nightwing, Babs, Spoiler, Orphan, and Batwoman are all the staples of Gotham. But also, let's not forget the likes of Arrowette, Metamorpho, Green Arrow, and Hardware, who, quite honestly, I didn't realize was with Batman Inc., and really does up the odds of him appearing in Rocket's arc. We talked about that a little bit last time. Check out the video breaking down Rock and potential for the second half of her season. I think Hardware could be there. Anyway, all of these characters are likely to play some, even very minor roles in Nightwing's arc, so there is a ton of potential there. Now, all of these things sound really good and could be pretty interesting dealing with Grayson's life, but it really doesn't touch the elephant in the room, Jason Todd. In part 2 of this video, we're going to cover Jason, Talia, and Damian. This is what the fans have been waiting for. We'll drop it in the next 2 weeks or so, but if you're watching this after that video was released, a link should be popping up now or it'll be in the comments below, so just move on to part 2. So what do you guys think? Are you ready for Nightwing's arc in the second half of Young Justice Phantoms? And do you think some of the events of last year will call into question Dick's leadership of various team members in the upcoming season? Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you're not going to get any updates. Peace.